I'm gonna go in. I run it up in the ride kinda on what? Nigga, shit so fucking hard, yeah. What? Herbs is sad, I've been swerving and the fan, got me serving and the fab out the pen. How a nigga work around the platform and chirp around the clock, never serving at this mouth, trying to pen. I love my nigga.
Live stream may contain content that could be perceived as shocking or offensive, but it is presented solely for educational purposes. Viewer discretion is advised. We strive to adhere to community guidelines, and any potentially sensitive material is shared with the intent of fostering understanding and learning.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. I want to welcome you to today's live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about, where's my title here? Oh my gosh. Things to consider for, that is not the title. The title is Navigating the Challenges of Security Work, Dealing with Poor Company Practices. Guys, if you've been working in this industry long enough, you know that we deal with a lot of issues, and a lot of these issues, I know that people who are watching this or people who watch this in the future, or maybe my supervisors or people who work in a supervisory role, they would say it's easy for you to say. It's easy for you to say because you don't understand what we have to go through on our end. You don't understand the politics. You don't understand the business side of these things. And I get it, because I have run businesses before. I've been the head of companies before. I understand that there's so many things at the top end of any company or corporation or group. I get that, right? There's a lot of things that happen, a lot of moving parts that the people that are on the front line don't get to see. So in a way, I understand that. However, for those of you who are rank and file soldiers, the people that are on the front lines, the people that are responsible for going to work every single day and carrying out that contract, it doesn't change the fact that when you deal with, excuse me, poor policies, or for a lot of us, lack of policies in certain situations, that it's frustrating, right? So we're going to talk about that today. Now, just like every other live stream, I want to start this thing off with our video of the week. The video of the week today, it comes from Cop Watch, and it's two departments. I think it's a sheriff's department and a police department. And I want to share this because on a lot of the security-centered YouTube channels over the past 2 weeks, there was a video that was floating around, and it was two security guards. One was a special police officer. And for those of you who are aware, special police officers generally are working for private entities, private companies, small municipalities, or specific areas. And it looks like there's a private or a special police officer, excuse me, that's working alongside a private security officer. They're both inside of a grocery store. They have a little bit of a tiff. They get into an argument. And on a lot of the channels that I saw, they were sharing this as if to show that private security is unhinged, that private security, can't control themselves, that we can't get along. And guys, that is the furthest from the truth in reference to just being an issue of security. This is something that happens in every aspect of work, every aspect of interpersonality, relationships. So, I want to share this video with you because it is a great example on the police side of just how unhinged people can be in these work environments. And that is going to play into what we're going to talk to a little bit further into the show. So without further ado, let's bring in the video. I'll be stopping it to give my commentary, but let's get it popping. Here we go. Courtesy of Cop Watch, here is the video.
It's not going to happen.
You can get the out of my face. I don't give a who you are. Okay? This is my county, too.
Back up, man.
Cop Watch is 5'6".
77.
Hello.
Are you sure? I'm going to SWAT call out.
Okay, so this could you do an 85 and a 55?
I was going to
Going where?
call out.
Where we going?
The SWAT call out right over here.
I didn't know we had one.
We have an armed guy barricaded in the house. Used to be a police officer. And
Where at?
right down here on
Here in Lexington?
Yeah.
We have an armed person we don't know about. Okay, I'll call our chief and let him know. 301 Lex. 301. According to the Cleveland County Sheriff, we have a hostage situation at that location.
Where's Captain Tom? Captain Hawk. Yeah. Where's Command?
Excuse me, sir.
What's going on here? We've realized that I'd like to know what's going on in my own city. We would have notified you, sir. We would have? Yeah. Well, hold on. I've been at the city. I've been down there at the PD all day. According to the call, it says Lexington was notified. They refused to respond according to our call.
Sit down here, guys.
Okay, I don't know who the said that. First of all, sir, I know you're the chief. You're not going to talk to me like that. I'm just telling you what the call says. I don't appreciate all of this going on and nobody notified me thing about it. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
If you want, later.
Sir.
He's a lieutenant.
I am too. You're not going to talk about chief like that, sir. That's not going to happen.
You can get the out of my face. I don't give a who you are. Okay? This is my county, too.
Back up, man. Back up. No, you don't.
He just said, what's
This is going to be good.
according to the call,
You need to stop.
Lexington PD was notified.
Chill out, back up, everything's going to be okay. But you need to back up.
I get it that you're chief.
You can back up.
Negative.
But this right here ain't what
We're
it
not going to be disrespectful here.
Okay?
Sheriff, you need to back up out of my face, sir.
Hey, you back up. No, you back up. Hey, buddy, back up. Hey, you better back up, buddy.
You have no authority.
You're not going to tell me what to do, You're not going to get in my sheriff's face,
you want to do that?
just like you told me.
Your hands off me, man. Back up, John.
Pull him back.
No, he
He's
just
in the
came up in my
sheriff's
face and
face.
said the same
Go to jail.
Stop.
He's getting ready to go to jail.
Stop.
You getting ready to go to jail, buddy. You know what? I'm going to take you to jail. You going to? We all can go to jail today, motherfucker.
You need to back off. This is our operation for St. County. Understand?
Oh, yeah. Perfectly clear.
Go 10-8.
Perfectly clear. Come on.
Just to run that.
I want that lieutenant's name so I can put his hands on me.
See, guys, it happens to the best of us. It's not just security. It's not just security at all. And you know what? There are countless videos of people having issues like this in the workforce. And it's not, you know, just security guard to security guard. It's not something that's only applicable to us. This happens with the best and the brightest in law enforcement as well. My man ZC here says everybody going to jail. Meanwhile, the armed suspect got away. Yeah. If you remember in the beginning of the video, the guy's talking about a hostage situation. There's a literal hostage situation going on, and these two departments are swinging their dicks trying to see who has the bigger cock in the situation. Absolutely unacceptable. But it goes to the point of what we're talking about today, guys. And that is the issue of poor company practices. Again, we are going to get to that. There is one more thing that I want to cover. Actually, two more things that I want to cover before we go into that. People often ask, I'm sure that you guys deal with this as well, what is the point of you being here, right? I put up a video on the short feed today, and it was a couple of transit security guards that are working for like the Seattle bus company or one of the transit authorities there in Seattle. And there's a situation where a drunk man is getting onto the bus. He's clearly intoxicated, clearly inebriated, should not be around people, should not be, basically moving about by his own person. And the supervisor comes up right as these guys try and stop him. And the supervisor says, hey, no. You can't physically touch this person. You cannot impede this person's forward movement. If he wants to get onto the bus, the only thing that we can do is alert the bus driver. The bus driver can then contact the local police department. And when they get to the next location, the police can then effectively remove this person from the bus. Now, if you've been following our platform in this channel here, there have been multiple stabbings on the bus system and subway system that we have here in Portland. If you look at situations that have happened in California, situations that have happened all the way up in Canada, people stabbing people with knives, stabbing people with scissors. And in this moment, when the security guards are being told by their supervisor that they cannot stop this person, the person filming, the bystander, he says, well, what's the point? Like, why are you guys here? And so I asked you guys today on the community tab, when someone asks you that, why are you here? How do you respond, right? We get this a lot at the location that I work at. It's a large grocery store, retail chain, depending on which store you're working in. They have a lot of different amenities, but we will have people that will say, hey, I saw this person stealing. I saw this person doing X, Y, and Z. I saw this person doing drugs. Why don't you do something? Why don't you stop it? Why are you here? Why are you dressed the way that you're dressed? Why do you have the items that you have if you're not going to do something? And my question to you guys was, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to that? Now, I find it interesting that that's a question that seems to only be asked to security guards. I want you guys to think about this, right? If you're at a hospital and there's a nurse, right? My wife, she had this horrible accident situation that happened about 3 weeks ago. When we got there and the nurses are taking her into the triage, they are, putting bandages on her. They're stopping the bleeding. They're taking down information. They're putting in the IV. At no point in time did I ever ask the nurse, hey, why aren't you performing surgery? Like, it's understood that the nurse has a very specific role within that hospital, right? We don't go to the nurse and ask them, hey, why aren't you taking care of the payroll issues? So-and-so didn't get paid last Friday. We understand that there's a certain role that person plays. It's only in private security that people feel compelled to walk up to us while we're working on a daily basis and question why we're not doing something that we're not contracted to do or that we're not legally able to do. And I wonder how many of you guys understand or are able to articulate that, or do you do what most people do and just keep it pushing? Now, I understand that we are not there in any capacity to get into an argument with people. We're not there to get into a debate about why we're wearing the equipment that we're wearing, why we're carrying the things that we're carrying. But I do want to know how you guys go about answering that question, because I think that, for our industry is probably one of the only industries where we are chastised and talked down to and ridiculed for the things that we don't do that aren't even in our scope of work or within the policies of the places that we're being contracted to be at. I want to know what you guys think. Please put some comments in the comment section. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about, excuse me, in relation to why are you here is this video. Now, guys, this video does not have any sound until the very end, okay? And I want to show you guys this because I think it's very important and it goes along with the conversation of why we are in these locations. So I'm going to bring this video in. Just keep in mind that there's no audio until almost the very, very end. It's a very quick video, okay? All right, stand by. So in this video, give you guys just a little commentary here. Someone is attempting to break into a business. Looks like he's using a sign of some sort. This could be, I don't know, maybe an office of some sort. Guy walks in, pulls out a firearm, takes a shot right into the bathroom. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there's no one located in this location. He's just literally broken into this office. He's taking shots at things. He's trying to break out. There's no one here. But keep in mind, okay? Keep in mind, hang on 1 second here. Let me remove this. This is an office, a very mundane office. Guys, look, how many of you are working a location where you're at a doctor's office, you're at a, I don't know, let's just say this is a tax office, right? If you're working in one of these locations because someone has made a threat or a situation like this has happened and the company has said, listen, we need to have somebody here in case this happens. These are the types of things that are happening more and more across the board, regardless of what city you're in, what state you're in. These are the type of actions that the deranged individuals that are in this country are carrying out. And this is why they have us in these locations. Let's continue. So our assailant leaves that location, and you're going to see a van that interacts with this situation. I don't know if this is his van or if this is somebody that he's with. There's no context to this video, and I apologize, but it's from a page that I follow that basically shares a lot of this surveillance footage, but it shows another egregious act that is happening at a grocery store. Mind you, he has now gone from the innocuous office, right, to a mundane, run-of-the-mill, everyday grocery store. And I want you to keep that in mind as we finish up this video. Stand by. Approaches the door, takes a shot right through two of the glass doors. Attempts to break into the glass doors by kicking through the glass. He can't do it. Now, I am going to assume at this point that the video has been sped up for time. I'm going to assume that that's the situation, that what we're seeing is him take that last kick towards the door, and then when he backs away, that is when he gets into this van. Watch what happens next. So at this point, he's broken through the doors. He still has his firearm in his hand, and now he's walking into the grocery store. Now, this picture is from 2 years ago at one of the locations that I work in. So this situation that I personally experienced where someone did the exact same thing, this is a great reminder to all of the people who have the unmitigated gall, the audacity to say, why do we have people stationed at a grocery store? Why do we have people working at this location who are wearing kit, who are wearing body armor, who are wearing firearms? This is the fucking reason, motherfucker. You smooth brain asshole. This is the exact situation that we have personally dealt with here in my location. The exact same video that we're sharing, the exact same situation where someone rams into the store because the doors are locked with a fucking van. Literally the same type of van, the same color van. So when people ask you the question, why are you here? It's not to stop shoplifting. It's not to interact with people that are stealing minor products. And yes, I get it. Me more than anyone else. I understand and I get it. I get more frustrated with the amount of retail theft than anybody else, guys. And I've spoken about it ad nauseum. But why are we there? Specifically, when we're talking about armed security guards at any location, we're there because of this type of shit. Because this is the type of stuff that is happening. This is not 1994. Okay, And I don't know what city you guys live in. I don't know what southern area of the country you are currently occupying. But in Portland, where I'm at, where a lot of people are in other urban areas and other areas where they have completely eradicated the police department, this is why we are there. And you guys need to take that, and you need to take that information and stand on it, right? One of the things that the kids are saying right now, I'm standing on business. You need to stand on business. Now, I don't know how you reiterate this to people when you're having that conversation. For the most part, you really shouldn't. But in your core, in your soul, you should know that the reason why these companies have you there, regardless of the fact that if they're articulating this to you or not, is because this is the type of shit that is happening. This is the type of threat that is out there. These are the type of people that are roaming our streets and the people that are going in to these mundane, everyday areas. At the end of the day, what makes me go to work is to know that I am there when no one else is. When the police are needed and seconds count, they are at best minutes away. And I take pride in the fact in knowing that I am there. I take pride in the fact that knowing that if my wife goes to any of the grocery stores in this area that fall within the company that we service, there is someone there. There's someone there. Will they be the perfect person to deal with the situation? Maybe, maybe not, but I'll take that as opposed to not having someone there at all. Okay. And that is very, very important for us to understand. Let's get some comments in before we go to the next topic. Let's see here. Everybody going to jail. We already talked about that. Well, this is wrong on so many levels. And plus the way that police officers and deputies should be treating each other. Yeah, that was the last one. Absolutely. That was crazy. Big adult Hank, 17, man. Let's see here. Wait. J Dan says serve and protect. That's what we're there for. Yep, man, what a vandal. J Dan says very dangerous out there. Absolutely. Indeed, it is. And that is the reason why most retail stores or malls, for that matter, need armed security. Absolutely. Let me get that off real quick before I move on. I'll take this off of here. All right. So we're going to move on to the next subject, guys. And that's going to be the arrest of Killer Mike. Why the heck am I bringing up Killer Mike? Well, I'm bringing up Killer Mike because if you guys aren't aware, last night at the Grammys, Killer Mike, great rapper. If you're into that kind of music, he's a member of a group called Run the Jewels, who's actually one of my favorite groups of the last couple of years. He wins 3 Grammys. This is a amazing feat for any, individual, any artist. But after taking home 3 Grammys, he is then led from the Grammys in handcuffs. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up to you is because the story, allegedly, is that this all stemmed from an altercation that he had with a security guard. Let me say this again. The reason why the world famous rapper was arrested on the night that he accomplished his most amazing feat, reaching his goals and taking home 3 Grammys, is because he had an altercation with a security guard where allegedly he bumped the security guard or pushed the security guard. That's the egregious nature that led to him being arrested, led out of handcuffs, and taken off to jail where he was booked on misdemeanor assault charges. Why do I bring this up? Because again, it plays into what we're going to be talking about in terms of the policies or lack of policies with your companies. Guys, there are some things to consider for security guards. Now, I'm going to go down this road and I can already tell you what people are going to say. Some of you, because of your disdain for a certain demographic, let's just say that, you're going to say, well, if he didn't want to get arrested, he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have pushed the guy. He shouldn't have bumped the guy. He shouldn't have done whatever. And I will have to give you that. Because at the end of the day, if you break the law, you break the law, right? But we have to consider some things as individual security guards. Now, let's just say that everything happened the way that the alleged security guard is alleging it to have happened. He tries to stop this person from going somewhere. There's an argument and Killer Mike pushes him, right? Now, what is being reported is that he contacts the police, allegedly, and says that he wants to execute a citizen's arrest, that he's working security. This person has assaulted him. He knows who he is. He knows where he is. And he is within his right as a citizen, specifically working in the capacity of the venue, to make this citizen's arrest. And the police basically say, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And then we'll come and we'll take it from there. And unlike, here in Portland, the cops actually showed up. So he goes, he finds Killer Mike. He makes a citizen's arrest on Killer Mike, allegedly, and handcuffs him. And the cops show up. The cops take possession of Killer Mike and then drive him down to the local police department where he's booked. Where do I even start? Some things for you guys to consider if you're in this situation. And it doesn't have to be Killer Mike, but we're going to stick to the fact that it is, because this whole thing has now blown up into a worldwide story, right? A worldwide story. It's across every news channel. It was trending last night. I'm sure it's still trending right now. Some things to consider if you're a security guard and you're in this situation: can versus should. Now, in that moment, when you've been assaulted, can you make that arrest, that citizen's arrest? And this happens all the time with me, right? I had a situation the other day where, we're escorting someone off the property. There's no hands-on situation. This person is right at the threshold of the door, and he turns around and he throws a full can of soda, full speed, right? Full strength, right at my head. And I duck, right? He has attempted to harm me. Now, if he would have hit me in the face with this full can of soda, that would have caused great damage. I don't know that it would have killed me, but it definitely would have been a warranted assault, right? Now, in that moment, I have a split second to make a decision. He's right within the threshold of the door. He hasn't left the property yet. He's attempted to assault me. Now, I'm in close enough proximity that I could have grabbed this guy. I could have, shot for a double leg, taken him down, handcuffed him, right? In that moment, I could have done that. But should I? Technically, he's leaving, right? Technically, he didn't hit me. And there's a lot of things that are going to come with me making that hands-on situation. If I, attempt to detain this person, call the cops, like all of the things that can come with that. And I'm not telling you guys in that situation that you shouldn't do that, but I'm telling you that my immediate thought was can versus should. Can I? Absolutely. Should I? For me, no. Get him out of the store. Get him out of the store. Okay. Now, if he would have hit me, maybe we're talking about something a little bit different. But as the security guard involved in this situation, what have you gained? What have you gained? You get the guy arrested, and this turns into a worldwide story. Now, the story is not that Killer Mike was out of line, that Killer Mike did something wrong, that he broke the law. The story that's being reported is the way that this was handled, not to mention the fact that it's become a racial story based on the fact that Killer Mike is outspoken about Black issues. He's outspoken about treatment of Black men. It's become a political issue because just last week he says that he doesn't rock with Biden and that he's supporting Trump. And he was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016. So now you have all of these narratives that are running parallel to the situation. And ultimately, this is going to come back on not only the individual security guard, but private security as a whole. Stephen A. Smith on his show today was talking about the situation and the egregiousness of the security guard or the security company to want to prosecute in this situation. Okay. Now I get it. Again, we're talking about a situation where someone has done something. Should they be held accountable? Sure. But the problem is this becoming about law and order for that security guard, or is it about your ego? And I'm asking you guys to think about that when you're in these situations. You are going to find yourself in situations where Someone has done something and you have every right to move a certain way. Someone has said something to you. They've potentially put their hands on you. Maybe they've shoulder checked you. Maybe someone has spit at you or spit on you. And in those moments, you're going to have this split section where you have a choice, can versus should. And I'm, again, not telling you guys what you should do in that moment, but I want you to think about it because every direction has a repercussion. If it's about law and order, that's one thing. But if it's about your ego, that's where you have to take a step back. That's where you have to take a step back. And why? Because ultimately, every single thing that we do as individual officers could potentially affect the contract. Now, some of you are going to say, it doesn't matter. I make $13 an hour. If we lose the contract, I will go get another $13 an hour job. Okay. The problem is that some of the issues that we're talking about, some of the actions that you take in these situations, they're not just affecting your specific contract. Guys, when the Grammys come around next year, after everything that's happened, after every narrative that's been talked about today and will continue to be talked about for the remainder of the week, once it's all said and done, next year at the Grammys, what are they going to do when it comes to security? Do you think they're going to hire that company back? Do you think they're going to hire someone within the same realm of service of the company that they brought in there? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm assuming that if a company is working security at the Grammys, they're getting a pretty decent payment for that. So the company owner now is in a situation where instead of being brought back next year to provide security and do a bang up job and maybe do it for the next 3 to 5, putting him in a position or her in a position, whoever the company owner is, to be able to supply steady work to multiple people, to multiple families, to be able to provide a good living for themselves and for their families based on the potential of this contract, right? All of that is now up in the air and more than likely will not be, will not be carried over moving on because of the fallout of this situation. So yeah, the officer gets put in a bad position, gets put in a situation where he feels based on his personal issue that he has to respond a certain way. And now that has had a monumental response from everybody, from the media to the sports world to the music world. What happens if Jay-Z or Drake or Nicki Minaj or Taylor Swift, they say, look, you know what? We don't like the situation of knowing that, one of our fellow artists tried to get in to a location and we feel that it was done off of racism, or we feel that it was done because you don't appreciate that he's a rapper, or we feel that it's because you don't appreciate his political opinion. Guess what? We're not coming back. So as long as you guys have that security company or you utilize any security company within that level of service, we're not coming. We're going to boycott. And guys, that's a very real possibility. What does that do for not only that one specific security company, but for the entire industry of security moving forward in things like the Grammys, the Oscars, whatever? That's the lifeblood of a lot of work for people in that Hollywood, California area. And the actions of one security guard. And there's a video out there on TMZ. I'm not going to play it because I'm pretty sure they would shut this video down, but you can find the video on TMZ of the security guard running after him and making that initial detainment. I don't know if the juice was worth the squeeze. So what do you do in that situation? And this goes into the main topic of our show. I have finally got there. I can be very long-winded, guys, okay? So now we're talking about poor company practices. And that's navigating the challenges of working with poor company practices. Now, I don't know that the security company that this person worked for in the Killer Mike situation had a policy. More than likely, they didn't, right? Because God forbid security companies just have a fucking policy for shit. We're always told, follow your post orders. We're always told, don't step outside the scope of your work. But unfortunately, for a lot of the things that we deal with, a lot of the issues that come up, there's nothing written. And then the thought process that we should use our best judgment. We should do what we think is right. We should make the right decision. That's what most of the time supervisors are telling us. But we have seen time and time and time and time and time again that common sense is not common, and what's right for me is not always right for you. And so then we end up in situations like this, right? I'm going to assume that when the supervisor found out that this person had a multi-platinum record selling rapper arrested after winning 3 Grammys and perped walked out of the fucking Staples Center, that he wasn't happy about it, right? But probably if I was going to play devil's advocate, the officer would say, but hey, I was assaulted. He hit me. He pushed me. And I have the legal right to do X, Y, and Z. And there's probably not been any training for a situation like this, right? So when you have that conversation with your supervisor based on the actions that you've taken because of a situation that you have found yourself in that was never addressed, that was never talked about, that was never laid out, and that there's zero policy for, and now you're in that moment where you were being chastised or you were being disciplined or you were being talked to, and you're feeling some kind of way. What do? Guys, when I was in the military as a young airman, way back in the day, the reason why I got out of the military is because I had a sergeant that came at me for a situation that I had no reason to understand or believe that I was doing the wrong thing. And I'm not going to get into what it was. But the way that this person talked to me, the way that this person came at me, I had never been talked to like that in my life. And he told me in no uncertain terms, I am going to make your life a living hell. For the remainder of the time that you are here, I am going to wear your ass out. I'm going to make sure that you hate life. And I believed him. And I didn't have any mentors in my life or in the military at that time to say, hey, man, this is life. This is the military. People talk like that. People come at you like that. We are a branch of the armed forces. We deal in war. We deal in certainty and uncertainty. We deal in death. And you're a grown fucking man. Pull your pants up, be a big boy, take your medicine, and keep moving forward. In 15 years, you're going to be retired and you're going to have full benefits and full compensation. Don't let this person run you out of the military. More than likely, you won't even be here in another year. You'll probably ship off somewhere else. He'll ship off somewhere else. But no one was there to tell me that. I didn't have that mentor. So this conversation moving forward, I am sharing to you guys who are younger, you're in your 20s, your 30s, as somebody who has been there and who has left so many jobs, who has left so many great opportunities because ultimately I butted heads with somebody, or I got upset about the way that somebody handled something, or the fact that they didn't handle something. These problems are everywhere. They're in the military, guys. They're in the corporate structure. They are in the police department, in the sheriff's department. They're in corrections and they're in security. They're in your relationships. How many girlfriends have you broken up with because they weren't perfect? How many times have you left a marriage or a great relationship because you butted heads? Guys, you can't get away from it. It's life. So your best bet is to understand that and to be able to navigate within it. You can't continue to quit and run. You can't continue to look for a different environment because everywhere you go, you will run into the same shit. So what do? You maintain professionalism. Okay. We've gotten ourselves into a situation where we have responded to the best of our ability. We've dealt with the situation the best way that we know how. And for whatever reason, there was no policy. There was nothing written down on how to approach it. And now we're in that conversation. with the manager, with the boss, and you're not happy about it because you didn't know any differently, you maintain professionalism. Always maintain a professional demeanor, regardless of how difficult the person may be. Stay calm, composed, and respectful in your interactions, and avoid emotional responses. For me, for the entirety of my life, that has been the hardest thing for me to do, because I am emotional and I generally respond to things emotionally. Now, I've gotten better over the years, okay? But it's really hard for me when I feel that I'm being attacked or I'm being put in a situation where someone is coming down on me for something that I didn't think that I did wrong. And I think a lot of you guys probably fall into that same category. But you have to remain professional. Part of being an officer versus being a guard is being able to handle yourself. Handle yourself in these stressful moments. Handle yourself in these moments of uncertainty. Handle yourself in these moments where you feel like the rug is being pulled out from underneath you, because that is what our job entails. When I was dealing with that situation with my wife, it's maintaining professionalism that got me through it. In order for you to be able to deal with an active shooter or deal with a homicide that you're called to out in the parking lot, you have to maintain professionalism. That's why we're there. When people ask why we're there, to be that professional person in that moment. So when you're going through that initial conversation, you're going through that initial issue, you have to stay professional. Because if you get off your square and you allow yourself to be emotional and respond out of emotion, you might say something that you can't take back. The second thing would be to involve supervisors or management. If the situation persists and becomes unmanageable, involve your supervisors or management. Now, that's great advice, assuming that the people that you're having the problem with aren't your supervisor or management, right? And guys, you are going to have issues with your supervisors. I think that if you are like me and you want to be a good employee, you want to be a good soldier, you typically do not want to put yourself at odds with your boss under any circumstances, right? I've never wanted to argue with my parents. You know, I'm not that kind of a person. As emotional as I can respond to situations, I typically want to be the best version of a son, you know, of a soldier, of an employee. I try to set that standard. I try to be atypical, right? But how do you do that when the person that is coming down on you is your supervisor? It is your boss. It is your manager, right? Well, the way you do that is to maintain effective communication. You try to open that line of communication with that difficult individual. Part of being an adult is being able to articulate yourself and to articulate your point. In situations like this, when things have gone wrong, when things have gone south, it's not about agreeing with the supervisor or agreeing with the boss. There's certain times and certain aspects of the situation where you're not going to see eye to eye. But it's important for you to communicate that. Now, how do you communicate that? You don't communicate that by yelling at the person. You don't communicate that by cussing your boss out or hanging up their phone or walking out of the meeting. You have effective communication. Effective communication means taking a deep breath, asking for a moment if you need it, and trying to explain where you were coming from and why you thought the way you thought, why you moved the way that you moved. Ultimately, in any of these conversations, you have to remember that the boss is not always right, but the boss is always the boss. In a perfect world for me, I would love for a supervisor or a boss or a parent to simply come to me and say, Damian, look, I know you don't agree with this. I know you don't think this is the right course of action, but this is how it has to be for business purposes. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing that. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do, but it's what we're doing. I can deal with that a lot better than anything else. But when you're the rank and file soldier, when you are the employee, when you're the person that's working for the company and not the person that's in charge of the company, you do not get to dictate how people deliver the message to you. That has been something that has been very, very difficult for me to learn over the years. It drove me out of the military, and it drove me out of plenty of jobs where I could have been extremely successful. I always held over the heads of the people that were running the company or owned the business that they didn't approach me or talk to me in a way that I thought was best. But that's backwards thinking. It's right in how you feel, but that's not right in execution, because the person who's in charge or the person that owns the business, they have achieved that status. There's an old saying, if your boss is so stupid, why is he in charge and you're working for him? We have to understand that, and we have to remember that. But effective communication is being able to articulate why you feel the way that you feel and where you were coming from respectfully. And if you're having that conversation in a respectful manner, what you're doing essentially is you're setting boundaries. You're clearly establishing and communicating boundaries for acceptable behavior. That is not coming at your boss or employer in a negative way when I say setting boundaries. But what you have to do as a soldier, what you have to do as a son, what you have to do as a husband, what you have to do as a boyfriend, as an employee in life, dealing with the crackheads outside, is you have to set boundaries. And those boundaries are, even if they are only, I don't agree with this. It's okay to be the employee that says, hey, I'm going to do what you tell me to do. I'm going to follow the marching orders, but I disagree. And I think from a position as a former leader, as a former business owner, I can appreciate that. I don't want yes men around me. And I don't want people that blindly follow orders around me. I want people that understand that business is business. And at the end of the day, it's going to always be business is business. But I want to know that that person has their own autonomy of thought and that they can look at a situation critically and say that this isn't right. And it's okay for you as a security guard to say that. You just have to find the way to do that respectfully and within the bounds of your position, right? Lastly is going to be to document incidents. Keep detailed records of any incident or interaction with the difficult individual. Now, assuming you have a good relationship with your employer, assuming you have a good relationship with that higher authority over you, the documentation might just need to be right there. Maybe you're documenting that this is a situation that you're not happy with. Maybe you're documenting that this is not a company that you want to work for. Maybe you're documenting that when you become a leader or a supervisor, that is not the way that you are going to handle people. I don't know. Those are decisions that you have to make. Now, if this is someone that has put you in a compromising position, you might need to document that information on paper. Okay. But I think more than anything, when you're working as a subordinate, the documentation is understanding that in the position that you are in at that moment, you cannot make a change to how things are being done. But you won't always be a subordinate. At some point in time, you are going to be the sergeant. You are going to be the lieutenant. You're going to be the captain. You might be the owner of the company. And for you guys who are out there who have aspirations of starting your own security company, every interaction that you have had, every situation where you have been talked down to, mistreated, put in a situation where you felt like you did the right thing and it was told to you that you did the wrong thing, you have to remember that. You have to remember that. Just like when you're a kid, you have to remember what it was like when your parents disciplined you, or your parents talked down to you, or your parents didn't understand or listen or appreciate. You have to remember that when you have your family. That is your opportunity to do the right thing. That is your opportunity to make the change. That's your opportunity to change the direction of the ship when your time comes. And guys, I don't care whether you're in security, the military, or you're making motherfucking French fries. At some point in time, you are going to have your opportunity to lead. And when you get that opportunity, you can't forget what it was like to follow. That is a $1 million quote. Let's get some comments in here. Woo! Boy, I had a hard time getting all that in. Okay. I knew I could do it. It just took me a while. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. So we talked about that. Jay Dan, I agree. More trouble than it's worth. Too much formality, right? My interpretation of number one here, ego versus common sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Trespassing there. Unfortunately, the actions of one define everyone in the industry. That is so true, guys. Listen, this security guard, and you know what? For all intents and purposes, he was probably in the right. Like, I don't know what happened back there. And, you know, he could have been body slammed for all I know, but I don't see that being the case. But you do have to look at the situation and say, look, I can be right in this situation. I'm about to, this is a biblical quote right here. I can be right in this situation and still be wrong. Insecurity, that is 99.9% of our existence. You can be right and still be wrong. Is he right to go and handcuff Killer Mike? Sure. Is he still going to be wrong? Abso-fucking-lutely. And it's going to cost people. Now, he might be in a situation where, because he was the one that was assaulted, what if he gets a payout? What if he gets $100,000 from Killer Mike? Congratulations. No security company ever gets hired again. Was it worth it? To him, yes. But if I'm working that contract and I got to pay for my kid's school, I got to pay for my wife's medical bills, I got to pay for my mortgage, I'm not happy about that. That's not a good outcome for me. It's not a good outcome for any of us, aside from that one security guard. You know what I mean? ZC seems like more of a headache and an ego hit more than anything. I wouldn't have arrested anyone. Way too much bullshit, both expected and unexpected in that scenario. Yep. Delaney says most companies offer zero training and extremely vague post orders. They just want to charge hours out. That is true. And guys, we have to understand that and accept it, right? They're not giving us training because they don't want to be tied to any of the decisions that we make based off of what they have told us to do. That is I don't want to say the scam, but that's the makeup of the private security industry, right? They want to charge the highest amount possible, pay out what they can pay out to get officers to work those contracts, but they don't want to put anything down on paper in terms of training or in terms of what you're supposed to do, because they don't want to be liable. But then again, that puts everybody in a bad position, because when you do something, they might be liable anyway, and then you're getting brought into the situation, you know? Jay Dan, they just want to decoy. Yep. If not properly educated and trained, security is only a decoy, a sitting duck, just waiting to get hurt. Yeah. Free to pay free. How are you, sir? And I have something that I am sending you, by the way. Okay. It will be in the mail at the end of this week, and I will message you about that. Okay. Rowan Hawk, I do hotel resort security, and I believe that their procedures are more like we figure it out as we go. That's basically it, right? Absolutely. And there's like no communication at all. They put me on a post and forget about me. That's the story of most people, guys. ZC, I'm so sick and tired of losing contracts because of morons who don't give a shit. People like that complain about making $13 an hour, but are the reason that the bare minimum of the industry is standard. That is true. The Art of Combat says, have you heard about the paramilitary bill out there trying to pass? Guys, the paramilitary bill that people like Mike Glover are talking about right now on social media, that passed in January of 2024 here in Oregon. Okay. For those of you who don't know, let Let me pull it up. I want to make sure I get the right one. I think it's 2075. Hang on a second. Let me look. Hang on. Everybody stand by 1 second. Where did I put it? Discussed. Everybody stand by. I think it's House Bill 20. Fuck, let me just do this. Oregon paramilitary law. Okay, so the Oregon paramilitary bill is House Bill 2572. Oregon House Bill 2572 is the Oregon paramilitary bill. And what it states basically is like anyone that's working in groups of 2 or more, that's training or working in a patrol capacity. You guys can look it up. The basic tenet of the bill is that they do not want anyone, and this is aimed at people on the right side of politics. When I say the right side, I mean ideologically right side. Okay. If you align yourself with the right politically, they do not want you to be able to operate in any fashion that would upend Antifa protest here in Portland. That is the absolute reason why this was created. In 2020, when Antifa was walking up and down people's neighborhoods, when they were trying to burn people's businesses, the natural reaction, the natural response that ultimately played itself out to the nth degree with Kyle Rittenhouse, right, was that people responded by arming up and standing in front of their homes, patrolling their neighborhoods and patrolling their businesses. Another issue that happened was when the lockdown was happening, you had people that were showing up at the state capitol here in Oregon in full kit, protesting the lockdowns, standing in front of their businesses, saying that they were not going to comply with the mandates, comply with the lockdowns, all of that. So this bill was proposed to make sure that if and when the protests come again, which will probably be in 2024, right, that people are not able to kit up, arm up, and operate in any fashion that upends people's lawfully protected constitutional right to protest, which is crazy because Oregon doesn't adhere to any other parts of the Constitution if they don't like them, i.e. the Second Amendment. The problem with that bill here in Oregon is that it specifically said operating in a security capacity. Let me see if I can find that. So it says Oregon HB 2572, private paramilitary organization means any group of 3 or more persons associating under a command structure for the purpose of functioning in public or training to function in public as a combat support unit, law enforcement, or security services unit. That last little bit is something that Oregon Firearms Federation, myself, and another group of security guards lobbied to have that stricken out of the House bill. We had to fight to get a carve out that said if you were within the duties of your contractual work as a security guard, that you weren't in violation of this House bill. The issue with this is that it's very vague, just like the post order situation. It's very vague. They don't say anything other than what I just wrote to you or what I just read to you. And they give the Attorney General of Oregon a very wide reach in terms of how he interprets that. So where we were concerned with security is like, look, if we're working at the location that I work at, we have 3 officers that work there on a daily basis, 3 armed officers. If we're working at that location and the building that I work at primarily is all made of glass, if there was an Antifa protest and they show up and they're throwing things at the windows and they're yelling at customers as they're coming and going, and we step outside and we say, hey, don't do that. Don't come onto our property. Now, would that be constituted as us working in a paramilitary fashion? And the way that it's written, there's no way to say that could not, even if it was a stretch, that it couldn't be interpreted that way. So we had to get a carve out that said, while we're working within the capacity of our contract under the state of Oregon, that we're not violating this paramilitary law. Now, imagine my surprise when this is passed in January, and then I start seeing all on social media, hey, they're trying to do this in Massachusetts. Hey, they're trying to do this in Illinois. And then this week, hey, guess what? This has been brought up at the national federal level. It's literally cut and paste. All of the gun control bills, things like this paramilitary thing, it's cut and paste, from sensitive areas to, banning certain types of firearms all across the board. They're literally, these left-leaning states are just copying and pasting and throwing everything against the wall. And they are looking at us and saying, go ahead, fight it, because they know on a long enough timeline, the money is going to run out, and the people on our side of the issue, the people who are fully entrenched in the Second Amendment and think that it's important and that it's a fabric of our country, we are a small minority compared to the amount of people that sit in the middle that don't really care, combined with the people on the left that don't think that we should have any firearms, combined with the children that are coming up in the school system where they're being indoctrinated to think against the Constitution and against the Second Amendment. They know on a long enough timeline, guys, we're going to run out of people, of money, of effort. It's not good. So that's the rant on the paramilitary situation coming to a blue state near you and potentially federally. They have security in place to keep their insurance rates low. Yeah. I know that like a lot of businesses, if they're corporations, they have a duty to provide security, but I don't know how that plays into reality. I mean, I hear that a lot. I think that a lot of companies want to do the right thing. Listen, let's just take Portland, for instance. If you have a company here in Portland, you're downtown, you recognize that you need security. Like, it's not even a game. Like, people are coming in, they're screaming, they're yelling, they're taking shits on the floor, they're knocking over your merchandise, they're all carrying machetes and rebars and knives and bows and arrows and sticks and boards and stones, all kinds of stuff, and firearms, right? So you realize that you need security. The problem is that everybody wants security, but nobody wants the responsibility of what comes with that. What's the responsibility? Training, finding the right people, paying them a comfortable wage to do the job that they're being asked to do, providing legal services if they're involved in something. Like, nobody wants the natural outflow of what comes with having that security. So they're wanting the image of security, the protection of security, but they don't want anything to happen or for them to have to provide any sort of training or have to deal with the backlash. It's like this weird, dichotomy of like trying to get the most out of it without doing anything on the front end. And, shit, man, that's life in general. That's how people are with relationships. Everybody wants to ask, and nobody wants to put the time in, to get it, or what it takes to keep it, It's just my personal thought. Dispensary guard liability insurance, all weapons that we carry, an attorney on retainer and protect by the California Cannabis Control of California to deal with dangerous individuals. Henry, I kind of get what you're saying. Maybe you're saying that like if you're working at a dispensary that you have to have liability insurance. Maybe that's the way that things are going to go. I don't think that the need for private security is going to change. I don't think it's going to dwindle. I think if anything, going into the next 4 years, it's going to increase. It might be a situation where security guards have to have their own executive protection license, have to have their own LLC, have to have their own security guard insurance or their own bond. I don't know, but I'll tell you this, guys, if you each have your own individual insurance policy, you're going to think twice before you do some dumb shit. If they make that a requirement and they make that a law that you have to carry your own insurance, you got to have a $200,000 or a $1 million policy, and it's in your name and you're responsible for paying for it every month. You're responsible for paying the deductible. If a situation happens and they have to pay out, the way you carry yourself is going to change. You're going to be very, very, very careful about getting involved in some dumb shit because they're going to come after that. Delaney says it leaves them latitude, like the Chevron difference, to call it what they want. I agree with that. Yeah. And he's talking about the paramilitary bill. Yep. And my man PBE says, fuck, I'm late, bro. What's up? You're late, but we got a replay on this, man. You ain't got to worry. You can watch it when it's over. It's going to be back up. All right. So we got that. I think we talked about everything. Let me go through here real quick. I think that was everything I had for you guys. Any questions for me before we get off? I'm going to take a shower and I think I have homework. Yeah. Guys, I'm almost done with school. This is my last semester. I think I'm 99.9% done with all of my classes. I have like 1 or 2 more discussion boards to do, 1 or 2 more projects to do. But for the most part, I'm done. I am so close to graduating and getting my degree, and I can't wait. I'm excited. I just got to stay the course, right? And I ran 3 miles today, guys. I got 3 miles in. So if anybody has any questions for me, what I will do is throw the intro song on, let you guys type them in. If I don't get anything the next minute, I will back out of here and we will call it a day. All right. So if you got any questions for me, you have any comments, if anybody wants to join the stream, I got 5 minutes of overtime that we can do that in. Okay. So let me know.
I'm gonna go in. I'm running up in right kind of what? Nigga, shit so fucking hard, hey. What? Sad, I've been serving and the fag, I've been serving and the fab out the pen. Now we need to work around the platform and trip around the clock. Never serving and the spell, try to pen. I love my new.
Okay. Delaney says all this exercise shit you're doing is making this fat boy feel guilty. I don't want it to make you feel guilty, man. I want it to motivate you. Right. And I feel like shit too, dude. Like when I see myself in videos, man, like it's horrible, guys. Y'all have no idea how jacked I used to be. I used to be absolutely just yoked. I mean, yoked. I was jacked. I was in great shape, best shape of my life, like, 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago. And it's hard, dude. It's been really hard. It's hard to see myself in videos. Like when I make videos and I make fucking YouTube shorts or whatever, I see myself, like I feel horrible. And my body feels horrible, man. I don't feel good being this heavy. I'm the heaviest that I've been in probably, 15 years, guys, over the last 3 or 4 years. And I got to get this weight off. So I'm just at that point right now where it's like, dude, fuck it. I'm just going to go out whenever I can. I'm going to run like I'm doing stairs at work. I'm doing push-ups on my breaks. Like I'm doing everything I can. I'm changing my diet. But, getting out and running has been the thing that I've been avoiding the most. And that is the thing that helps me the most is running. It helps with my circulation. It helps with my diabetes. It helps me get the weight off. It helps clear my mind, helps me sleep. So I'm not doing it to make you feel bad, bro. I'm doing it to motivate myself. And if it motivates you, man, that helps motivate me as well. Delaney says, yeah, but that interferes with my ass to couch time. Yeah, dude, 100%. I'm with you, man. I love naps more than anything, man. I feel you 100%. Rowan Hawk says, how about bulletproof vests? What's a good source that is not going to break the bank? My suggestion, Safe Life Defense Flexible Rifle Armor System. It's called FRAS, F-R-A-S, Flexible Rifle Armor System. These are, I think they're less than 3 pounds or like 2.25 pound plates, flexible plates. You get a front plate and a back plate. Not terribly expensive. I think you can get a set for like, $450, $500. The great thing about Safe Life Defense is that they have a quad pay. You can break it up over 4 payments. So I would suggest if you're working and you can use an outer carrier to get the Safariland Oregon City carrier. That's my favorite carrier on the market. It looks like the cops. That's what the cops use, right? But the Oregon City Safariland carrier is a great plate carrier. Throw in the FRAS plates. The only problem is that if you do that, you don't have any side protection. So you might want to invest in some side plates. Now, some people are going to say, well, if you're buying front plates, back plates, and you have to invest in side plates, just get the concealable armor that wraps all the way around you. And you could do that and put that into an Oregon City carrier. However, if you buy really good level 3 rated flexible armor that's concealable, that can go on the vest, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So you specifically asked for a cheaper way to go about it. That's what I would do, and that's what I've done in my career. Okay. PBE says, I got one. Would you critique other guards at work via their own video? And how would I go about sending you the video? Would you critique other guards at work via their own video? Oh, so wait. Would you critique other guards at work via their own video? Explain to me what you mean by that. I mean, I'll critique anything. I'll give my opinion. If you want to send me something, you can send me, like, if you have a like a Dropbox or cloud storage, you upload it to that, and then you send me an email with a link, and the link, I'll be able to get to it. Or if you have your own YouTube channel, clearly you have a YouTube channel because you're on here watching it. You can upload it to your page, and you could set it to unlisted, right? Set it to unlisted, and then you email me the link. So I'm going to put my email address right here. So this is my email address for anybody that ever wants to email me for any reason, right? safeportsecure@gmail.com. You send me an email with a link to any video and let me know what you want me to do. If you want me to critique it, you want me to look it over, 100%, man, I'm down. So all you got to do is share that with me. Okay. John says, peace in the mind, love in the hearts, everyone. I like that. Delaney says, I have the Frass stuff and I love it versus my old Gauls crap. Yeah, Frass is the shit, guys. I swear by it. I've had it for, I think, 2 years. It was a really good purchase. Jay the Conqueror says, sir, I love the content. I found you on Shorts and I'm glad I got on the live. God bless you. God bless you. And I'm glad that you're finding value in our content here. Guys, I don't make any money off of this. And in fact, I lose money. I lose money that I don't really have. If I'm being 100% honest with you guys, I don't have the money that I lose doing this YouTube shit because, some of the stuff that I subscribe to or pay for, to make these videos, like this system that I'm using right here, this is a monthly subscription. It costs me money to do it. But, we talk about all the issues that we deal with in security, some of the stuff that I have broached in the videos that we've put up over the last 3 years. These are things that our companies aren't talking about. They're not doing it, right? They're not making the effort to train you guys. A lot of you guys work for companies. They don't tell you shit. They give you a shirt, they give you a clipboard, and they tell you to stay out of trouble. I don't want that for you guys. So I've made it a mission to try and at least leave this industry better than when I found it. And I don't know how much longer I have in security. I don't know what my future has for me, but I have done everything that I can over the last 3.5 years to try and make sure that the next person that comes into this industry in the exact same situation where it's like, what do I do? Where do I go from here? I want them to know that at least I tried to leave some information, leave some breadcrumbs for you guys to be successful. So if you are feeling like you're getting value out of what we have here, that's payment enough. All right. That makes me very happy. I appreciate that. So God bless you as well. Westwell, plenty of buyers want security services, but not enough are willing to give much thought to what they want them to do. Yeah. It's like when people say they want to be happy, right? Hey, what do you want out of life? I want to be happy. Well, what does that mean? People go, I don't know. Right? It takes a lot more thought and effort to think about what you want that security to do. People say, we want security here to protect us. Okay, well, does that mean that when someone comes in and they're screaming and yelling that I hip toss them, arm bar them, and handcuff them? Well, no, don't do that. Okay, well, then what do you want me to do? Well, I don't know, but something other than just stand there and find a middle ground. And that's a huge width between point A and point B, right? It takes a little bit more thought process and effort to say, this is what we need you here for. The idea of observe and report, it doesn't necessarily work in today's society. How do you observe and report the guy that's driving a fucking minivan through the door and shooting at people, right? When you're literally standing there in a bulletproof vest and you have a firearm, there has to be some sort of middle ground to that. But that's what we're trying to accomplish by doing these videos and having these conversations. Hopefully, maybe at some point in time, I will be in a position to make a difference and make a change. I don't know. Who knows what the future has in store for us, You mentioned class. May I ask what classes or subjects you are taking? Okay, so let's talk about this. All right. I went back to school. So I started college when I was in the military in 1996. I'm almost embarrassed to say that. I took my first college class in 96. And then I didn't go back to college. I dropped out, I didn't go back to college until 2013. And I did 2 semesters and I dropped out. And so, I have 4 children. My son right now is in school getting his doctorate. He's so brilliant. He's so smart. And my oldest daughter, she just graduated and she's going for her doctorate, and I'm just like, man, everything that I've done, everything that I've tried to accomplish, I've tried to make myself a better man. And for my kids, I have 2 other children, I have 4 children total, but my youngest daughter, she'll probably end up coming out here to the University of Oregon to go to school. My 3rd kid, she doesn't like school. She doesn't feel comfortable in school. She's just like me. She never felt like that was her thing. And she's got these 2 older siblings that are just killing it. And her mom's an educator and her aunts and uncles and her family, grandmother's an educator, and she just feels like, man, like this isn't me. What do I do? Like, where do I fit in? That's how my 3rd kid feels about things. School doesn't come easy to her. And so for me, I wanted to finish this degree for myself, but I also wanted to finish it for her because it just took me finding the right environment. Online classes have worked great for me. I don't like going to school. I don't like sitting in class. I don't like being next to people and feeling like I'm the stupid guy in the room, right? I like being able to sit in here, around my guns and shit and do my homework and have my one-on-one conversation with my professor via email to be able to take my time or move at my own pace. So that's a very long-winded way of saying that I'm studying communications. I'm studying strategic communications, primarily public relations. What I ultimately want to do is continue to work with, companies like Fox News. I want to continue to have political commentary on things like homelessness, politics, firearms. And ultimately, I would love to work in a capacity or for a company where I can help to craft messages. That's what I do here on this YouTube channel. That's why I do this with you guys, is I'm helping myself to be a better communicator. I'm helping myself to be able to share my thought, my vision, to create something. And that's what I want to do. I would love to do that within the security industry. I'd love to do that for the company that I work for. I would love to work for the corporate side of the company that I work for right now, helping to, gain contracts or secure business or, craft messages about security in the industry for the city. I think there's a lot of things that I can do with it. So that's what I'm studying. And our semester is over the 8th of March. God willing, everything goes great. Then I get my confirmation that I'm done. And then I will be going to the University of Liberty in Vicksburg. Is it Vicksburg? No, Lynchburg. In Lynchburg, Virginia on May the 9th to walk across that stage. And I'm getting a really cool graduation ring, and it's going to have all my kids' first names engraved on it. It's going to be in a box. And, when I'm gone, I want them to have that and know that your dad did it. So that's my sappy story. Security industry sure needs support. Lucky to have you. I appreciate that. Delaney says, by the way, how's the wife doing? Hope she's doing better. Sending prayers. My wife is doing good, guys. The emotions of the situation come and go. We've had some really good days and we've had some really bad days. And I think that it's going to be like that for a while. For those who don't know, my wife was attacked by our dog, our guard dog, Belgian Malinois, German Shepherd mix, Copper. And he did some real damage to her. But she's a trooper, man. She's way stronger than I am. She has handled this situation like an absolute G. And she has been just amazing. I can't even imagine what she's going through. And she has her days where she's not in the best spirits, but we're keeping each other up. I'm propping her up and she's propping me up, and we're a team. Our foundation is uncrackable. It's unbreakable. And we're going to get through it. So I appreciate you asking, man. Thank you. PBE says, great, thanks. What I mean from the last comment is that my style of fuck around and find out security, keep the real troublemakers away, but I always challenge the most dangerous deviants and criminals. Okay. That's a perspective, and you can do that, and I don't begrudge you. I think that we should probably talk more maybe at some point in time. Delaney says, glad to hear she's doing okay. Stay strong for her, as I know you will. Absolutely, man. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you. We are okay, and we're going to be all right. It's been a trying time, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it. God is good all the time, even in times of strife. So, all right, guys. Well, that is all that I have. And we have gone for an hour and 20 minutes. This was a great conversation. I hope you guys are getting value out of what we're doing. As always, man, I'm just a guy. I'm just trying to help. I'm just doing my part. I would love to see more of you do this. Start sharing your perspective. Start talking to people. Start getting this information out. There's a lot of people getting into security, a lot of people that need it. And you guys all have a perspective. Your outlook, your view, your take on things is different than mine. And, it's needed. All right. So that being said, y'all have a great night, man. I'm going to get out of here and go see what the wife is doing. All right. Y'all take care.
I'm gonna go in. I run it up in the right kind of yellow. What? Nigga, shit so fucking hard, yeah. What? Urban sad and sad, I've been serving and the fag, I've been serving and the fab out the pen. How a nigga work around the platform and chirp around the cat, never serving.